So first and foremost, I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your morning, and it is morning. It's 11 a.m. on the East Coast, so whenever I do these 11 a.m.s, I know it's morning for everyone. So thank you for taking a couple of minutes here to start your day with us. Usually, I do this kind of a presentation at some of the trade shows that we go to in Las Vegas, Chicago, wherever they may happen to be. I think there's two usually in Las Vegas, and then one or two of them usually, kind of crisscross the country and go to different locations. I love talking with prospective employees, or excuse me, prospective customers. You guys are your own employees. So it's really nice to get to talk to people. And unfortunately, I can't talk to all you guys in person, so this will have to do. My name is Matt Johnson. I have been with SFREP for, going on 16 years now. And that's one of the cool things about our company is it's such a great company to work for that a lot of the employees that you will talk to have been here for 5, 10, 15 years. We're a smaller company out of the big four, Alamode, ACI, Bradford, and us. We're the smallest. Bradford and us are roughly the same size. But one of the cool things about being a small company is that we are not beholden to big corporate overlords, and we're able to give our customers individual attention. Now, I usually do this presentation for some of our customers because we are currently moving our customers over from our older product, which we now call Appraise It Classic, over to our newer product, which is what I'm going to be demoing for you guys today, called Appraise It Pro. But this is going to be a little bit different. There may be a couple of people in here who are our current customers. And just so you guys know, this webinar is going to be geared more towards prospective customers, people who might be flirting with the idea of changing software vendors and have been looking for somebody else. So we're going to be talking mostly to them. So we're not going to be doing a real in-depth kind of tutorial on how to use Appraise It Pro. If you decide to try out Appraise It Pro, we can do that with you one-on-one. But we're going to kind of give you an overview so you can be a little bit more familiar with Appraise It Pro. So a little bit about our company. We started in 1983, so we've been at this for quite a while. We started out with a DOS program, then we progressed to a Windows program, and then today, over the last 3 years, we have been rewriting our software from the ground up to be Appraise It Pro, which is designed specifically for Windows 10. It's fully tested in Windows 11, and it will also work in Windows. It will work in Windows 8 with Service Pack 2. But mainly, most of our customers are on Windows 10. JD asks if we are going to be at Appraisal Summit. I myself, yes, will be at Appraisal Summit in Las Vegas. I fly out on Saturday on American Airlines, so fingers crossed with all the problems they're having right now that those get worked out by then. But yes, we will be at Appraisal Summit at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas on next week. So I think it starts Sunday and goes through Tuesday. Yeah, thinking the same thing. Yeah, I hear you, JD. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, my flight goes from Asheville to Charlotte, which is my hometown, Charlotte is, and then off to Las Vegas. So fingers crossed that the flights go on time. Okay, so yeah, if you're going to be at Appraisal Summit, stop by our booth. Unfortunately, Wayne's not going to be able to make it, but I'll be there and be happy to show you guys, anybody who wants to come by, Appraise It Pro in person. So like I said, we started in 1983. Wayne Pugh is the person who started our illustrious company back in 83. We now have Appraise It Pro. Like I said, we are a small company, but we're kind of scattered all over now with COVID. We are permanent work from home for the entire company. So quote unquote, we are based in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but at this point, there's only a couple people that still work down there. We're kind of scattered over. A lot of our sales stuff is done out of Greenville, South Carolina. And then all of our technical support, and all of our programming is done mostly out of Western North Carolina. I myself am in Clyde, North Carolina, which is a small town near Asheville. So some of you on the East Coast may know Asheville because it's a big vacation destination in the mountains of North Carolina. But we started transitioning to work from home right after COVID, and it kind of worked out for us because we had kind of been transitioning to a decentralized type company and working in the cloud. We found that it's way more productive for us. We're saving a ton of money by doing it, and so yeah, it's been a great ride so far. Unfortunately, COVID is what kind of spurred that on, but we've done really well with it. So Appraise It Pro is our primary product, and if you are going to be new to our company, it is the product that you are going to be using. Now, before I even get started, usually I would wait till the end, but I want to make sure that everybody is clear on this awesome offer that we are offering. We offer this at our shows, so if you come by our booth, we offer this, but I'm going to offer it to you guys as well. We are offering Appraise It Pro completely free for you to try. And when I say free, I mean no strings attached. We don't do contracts or anything like that. We let our software speak for itself. You can try Appraise It Pro, no strings attached, completely free for 6 whole months. Now, the reason we're doing the 6 months is that that's going to allow you to overlap and have a transition from your old software over to your new. So if you are currently in a contract with your old software, you can go ahead and try out and start switching over to Appraise It Pro now and have that overlap, and it won't cost you anything extra. So you can move over to Appraise It Pro, 6 months absolutely free. All you need to do is call our sales office. And if you got a pen and paper, I'm going to give you the number, but I'm also going to put it in chat, and it's 800-523-0872. Well, let me try that again. 800-523-0872 is the number. Now, those nice people down in our sales department, just tell them that you did a webinar with Matt and that you were offered 6 months of Appraise It Pro for free, and they will get you started. What they'll do is they'll create an account for you, and then they we'll either give you a link so you can go ahead and download it and start the process yourself, or if you would like, one of our nice technical support people can give you a call, log into your computer, and get it all set up. Now, of course, I am biased because I work for the company, but one of the things I hear a lot about with other software vendors is that their software is buggy and that their technical support that they're paying for is not responsive. We don't charge extra for tech support. You get unlimited tech support. It's 7 days a week. We cover at least till 5 p.m. on the West Coast, which means that we generally cover until 8 p.m. on the East Coast. And our tech support are some of the best in the industry. Now, they're all going to have a Southern accent because we are a Southern company, but they are really nice, and they are very knowledgeable, and they're very capable. And they're always there to help you guys out. You don't have to pay extra for it. And generally, when you call our tech support, because frankly, our software doesn't have a lot of bugs in it, they're generally going to answer the phone on, when you call. We don't do phone queues. So on the rare occasions where they're all busy, the voicemail will kick in, ask you to leave a message, and then we will promptly call you back. But generally, we answer all of our phone calls live. So when you call our tech support line, you don't go into a queue. Someone will answer the phone, and they are ready to help you out. So you will be able to take advantage of that during your 6 months of absolutely free tryout period. All right, so let's get to the star of the show here, which is Appraise It Pro. Now this is just a clean kind of desktop here. The only thing we have here is Appraise It Pro. I'm going to double click on it. Now you're not going to see the splash screen because the splash screen is going to show up on my other monitor, but then Appraise It Pro is going to launch, and here we go. Now, couple of things I want you guys to know about Appraise It Pro. First of all, it is built on Microsoft development technology, the latest development technology from Microsoft. When you use this, it will look a lot like Microsoft Office. And that's one, somewhat on purpose, but two, belies the DNA of this program having that Microsoft DNA in it. So our software is built to Windows standards. It works extremely well on Windows 10 and Windows 11. Like I said, it will work on Windows 8 for the 6 people that might still be using Windows 8, but it is specifically geared towards Windows 10 and Windows 11. Plays very nicely with it because we developed everything with Microsoft design technologies. So when you use our software, you will notice it does look a lot like Microsoft Office. We've got the ribbon toolbar up here. And most of you have probably seen this before. You click on the menu option, and then you have a row of icons down here. And we'll go back over here to the file menu, and here we have welcome new, open, search settings. I'll go over those here in a couple of seconds. The other thing I like everybody to know about Appraise It Pro is we are, to my knowledge, now don't quote me on this and hold me to this, but as far as I know, we're the only 64-bit software for real estate appraising on the market. So all of our competitors, a la Mode, ACI, Bradford, they're all 32-bit programs. Now, what does that mean? Well, chances are that you all have a 64-bit version of Windows installed in your computer, and your computer is 64-bit. So you're already ready to run 64-bit programs. If you have a computer built, before 2010, 2011, you're almost guaranteed to have a 64-bit computer. Now, if you do have a 32-bit, our software will run on that just fine too. But our software is 64-bit, and what that means is that our software can address more memory. So a 32-bit program can only address about 3.5 gigabytes of your memory, and a lot of you probably have 12, 16 gigabytes of memory. Well, we're able to address all of that memory. Now, we're not going to use it all up, obviously, but we can expand beyond about 3.5 gigs of memory. And the big advantage there is that our software, if you load it up with high resolution pictures, if you load it up with, 6 PDFs with 100 pages each, we don't have to swap out to the hard drive. It's not going to lag. It's not going to slow down. It's not going to choke. Appraise It Pro is not going to blink and stuff like that. It is built bulletproof, rock solid, and it's able to take advantage of that extra horsepower and memory that you have in your computer. Okay, so the layout of Appraise It Pro. When you first open it up, you're going to be in this area, the welcome area. And it's going to welcome you with just some information that we think might be useful to you. Now, we don't update this all that often, and we generally, you're not going to see pictures and videos and all that kind of stuff in here. It's not going to be very distracting. Excuse me. It's going to basically just give you some information. So things, when we make changes, if there's some kind of problem that we're having with an AMC compatibility problem or something weird like that, we'll just throw it in here just so you guys know. We'll also send you emails. But if it's important enough that we want to make sure everybody sees it, then we'll put it here in the welcome area. In addition to that, this is kind of like the file menu, basically. So in addition to that, we have new. This is our forms library. Now we've grouped everything into kind of categories here. And if you don't want to use this, or if you don't, there's a specific category you're never going to be using, like if you never do condo forms, you can have this little caret here and you can collapse that so you never see it. But what most people are probably going to do here is when they start a new report, they're either going to use one of the frequently used, so your most frequently used report types will show up in here right at the top, or they're going to do a search. So if I was looking for a 2055, I can just type in 2055 up here, and it's going to show me all the 2055s. And of course, that's going to show up in frequently used. It's going to show up in UAD, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, etc. But you'll be able to whittle it down and know exactly which 2055 you're looking for. And then I can just click on this X here, and it's going to show me everything. And as far as how you would start a new report, most of our customers are probably going to start a report from a template. So we have templates. Most software has templates. So if I come up here to UAD 1004, you'll see I have a bunch of templates. Now in my case, now I'm not an appraiser, but in my case, I have set up a bunch of templates here for individual cities. Most of these are going to be just cities around here in North Carolina, some for Charlotte, Asheville, Waxhaw, Waynesville, places like that. And so you may create templates for cities. You may create templates for neighborhoods that you do. You may create templates for different banks and AMCs. Whatever the reason you want to make a template, templates are super easy in Appraise It Pro. Essentially, a template is nothing more than a regular report file that has been promoted to a template status. So all you have to do is open up a default template, make the changes you want, add the pages that you need into it, remove the pages you don't, fill out what you need to fill out, add photos, whatever you want to do to it. And then you just go to Save As and Save As Template. I'll show you that here in a little while. Now, we're going to go to Open. You'll use this less frequently, but you might come in here because you just want to grab a report that you did recently. So you have all of your most recent reports here that you could just jump to and open up. We also have Open Report. And over here we have Open Report, which is open up an Appraise It Pro report. You can also open up an Appraise It Classic report. That's for our customers who are moving over from older software. But this is what you guys would use if you're moving over from another software vendor, Open MISMO document. Now, because of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and legal stuff is always fun to talk about, we cannot technically go into your old software and extract all of your report files and bring them into Appraise It Pro because they have encrypted them, and the DMCA says you can't break encryption. By the way, the DMCA is the reason that you can't strip your Blu-rays and keep them on a server and stream them in your house. So that is what the Digital Millennium Copyright Act of 1996 is all about. But what we can do is, if you have been archiving your MISMO documents when you create a report for delivery, then we can take all of those MISMO documents, put them into a subfolder for the report storage folder in Appraise It Pro, and our tech support can do that for you. And then it will get indexed into our file index, our search index, which I'll show you in a second, and you'll be able to open them up here. So if you still have a colleague, if you were using a la mode and you come over to SFREP and you still have a colleague or a friend who is still using a la mode, and you want to share data, or they want to share data with you, then they can just create a MISMO document, they can email it to you, and then you can open it up here and have access to the contents. And then we also have Open Up Template, in case you want to open up a template, and then Open Up Classic Skeleton, which this mainly applies to folks who are, once again, moving over from older software. Next is Search. The search is really easy to use. These are your search boxes right here, these blank boxes. And then over here, you'll see what the header for that particular box is. You can search by street address, unit number, census tract, et cetera, et cetera. This is all completely customizable. So if you are only licensed in, say, the state of North Carolina, you're never going to be searching by state, you can use this little pull down menu and change state to something else. Or if you don't need state at all, you can just hit this little trash can and get rid of it. If you want to put it back, or if you want to select another heading, then you can do that over here with this little blank one. And so I'm going to come back in here, find state, and select it. And there it is. But I want it to be after city again, so I'm just going to use these little arrow keys to move it up in the list and get it back to where it is, after city. And there you go. Now, the way this search works, it's a little bit different from Google. When you fill out something in here, you can be vague or you can be very specific, but the more information that you fill out in here, the more targeted your search results are going to be. So if you were to come in down here and say county, put in the county that you generally work in and hit search, you're going to get thousands and thousands of hits. So what you may want to do is keep your searches a little bit broad, but not too broad. So you may want to give it county, you may want to give it a partial street address, maybe a zip code, something to narrow down your search results a little bit more. So the more information you fill out here, the more targeted your search results are going to be. Now, I'm not an appraiser. I generally use this installation of Appraise It Pro for demo purposes and for testing. So I don't have a lot of reports indexed in here. But what I'm going to do, just to kind of show you what it looks like, is I'm just going to do a blank search. So I'll make sure this is cleared. We'll do search. And there they are. And when you have a search result here, it'll show you the front view photo, as well as all of the information, some of the information that's contained in the database, so that you can make sure you have the right one. And then you can simply double click on it or click on open to open up that file. And before we do that, I want to come down here to settings real quick and show you that we do have fully customizable settings in here. If you are someone who is not very familiar with computers and software and stuff, you may want to only come in here with one of our tech support people. But if you're someone like me who likes to tinker, feel free to come in here and customize Appraise It to the way that you want it. But I would recommend just jot down on a Post-it note or whatever, if you're going to make a change, jot that change down. So that way, if it creates some type of behavior that you don't like, you can always go back and change it. So let's come back over here to that search. Here is this report here, and this actually happens to be one of our demo reports. So I'm just going to simply double click here, and it's going to pull it up into the editing area of Appraise It Pro. Excuse me. So we have kind of built Appraise It Pro so that it is staying out of your way. It doesn't have a lot of a lot of we try to make it so it's not too busy. And to do this, we have our editing area in the middle, and then we have our 4 panels that you're probably going to be using the most on the left and the right. So we have our report panel here, and you'll be familiar with this if you use a la mode ACI, the concept here. This is your table of contents. You can reorder things in here by simply just dragging them around, but this will be your final delivery order when you're ready to deliver it. Now you'll notice that this report already exists, so it has a lot of stuff filled in here already. If you open up a blank report, I'll show you that if I go back here to new. If you were to open up a blank report, you have the option of a default template. This will be if you're just starting completely from scratch. If you opened it up by default, it will include things like the sketch, some extra comp pages, things like that to get you started. If you don't want it to do that and you only want just the core main, like say 6 pages of the 1004, then you have a little checkbox down here at the bottom that you can uncheck, and then it will just open up those core pieces of the report. And you may see me using this from time to time, this little arrow key. That's how I'm going to get back from this file menu area back to the main program. And so I can click it again and then click it again. There we go. Real simple to use. So you can move things around here. If you need to add a addenda to your report, you just come up here to add, and then you can make a search for it. We can do a search for COVID. Here are all the different COVID forms. And then if I wanted to add those COVID forms in, if I wanted to say put it right after USPAP compliance addendum, I could just click it, drag it down there, hit save and close, and now it's in the report. Now you'll notice that there are some little icons over here as well. These icons, if it's a star, that means that that's the main report type. That's the main report form, the primary form. Now, if you want to change from this 1004 to something else, maybe to a condo form or vice versa, you could come in here to add, and you could switch from addenda to primary, find whatever it is you want to change this to, and then say, I don't know, change it to a 1004D for a compliance update. And you could drag that over here, hit save and close, and then it would just automatically convert that over to that particular primary form type. You'll also notice that there are some lock icons here. This means that these are needed for the report. They are core to the report. So things like the report profile, the UAD sales comp adjustments, square footage calculation addendum, these are needed for the actual report, so they can't be removed. And then you'll have some in here that have these little green pluses, and this is really cool because right now I have sales comps 1 through 3, and then I've got sales comps 4 through 6, which are, where is it? Looks like I've been messing around with this, so I probably have monkeyed around with it. So I see it, yeah. So I have sales comps 4 through 6 in here, but I don't have the 4 through 6 in them. So I've got sales comps 1 through 3, so I need to add 4 through 6. I can just click on a plus there. That's going to add sales comps 4 through 6. And if I didn't have the photo addendum for those, it would add that in as well. So when you got, some of these are going to have little pluses next to them. You can just click plus, click plus again, it's going to add another set, click plus again, it's going to add another set, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, if you want to remove something, want to remove the site plan, click on it, click on remove, say yes, and there you go. You can also rename some of these. So these extended general photos 4 through 6, that is, when you open it up, you'll see that's just kind of like a 6 per page photo addendum. So what I can do is I could rename that. And let's say that, I mean, obviously it includes extra photos here, but let's say I wanted to change that and this was all garage photos. I could just say, call it garage photos, and then I could rename it. All right, so real self-explanatory, it's the report panel. We'll move down here to the validator real quick. Validator is very simple. With the validator, it's doing real-time validation as you move along. So if I, oops, come up here to, you know what, I messed this up. I'm gonna close this and reopen it. I may have I may have messed this up earlier. So let's just do this. I'm gonna open up a blank so it's easy to see. There we go. Okay, so we have a blank report here. So the real-time validation, we have 2 types, real-time validation and comprehensive validation. The real-time validation is just going to be doing validation as you move along. It's going to be checking things like formatting, some simple math, things like that. The easiest way to see this in action is to come up here to the state, and if I type in NC, nothing happens. It's happy with that. But if I come in here and I mistyped and I do BC and I tab out, you notice the cell turns red. And if I was down here in the grid and I noticed that I have a hard stop over here, I could just simply double click and it will jump back up there. I'll see that I've made my mistake because BC is a Canadian province, not a US state. So I can go back in there, type in NC, and now my error goes away. Now, before you are ready to send a report to your AMC or your lender, whoever your client is, you're going to want to click on the validate button. And what that'll do is that will do a comprehensive validation, checking everything, all your formatting, your UAD formatting, checking your math, making sure you haven't forgotten anything, making sure that there aren't any dependency violations where you've said something but you didn't expand upon that in some type of comment or something like that. It's going to check all that stuff for you. All right, up here in the upper right, this is the responses panel. So the way this works is if I go in here to city, you can see I have a ton of cities already in here. Now these are all suburbs of Charlotte for the most part. That's where I grew up. So if I want to put Charlotte in there, I can double click and it'll put Charlotte in there. Or I can hit F4 because I have assigned Charlotte to its own hotkey, which is F4, the function key. So I can hit F4 and it'll fill in Charlotte for me. Or it'll do autocomplete, which is my favorite way to do it. So I can just type in C and there's Charlotte, hit tab and move on. So if you fill out really good comments, really good responses in all of your fields, and by the way, you can do them in multi line fields as well, and the response can be paragraphs and paragraphs long if you want. But as you go, so we'll delete this and I'll delete this. Hit C, tab, hit N, tab, 2, tab. Once you get these really set up, you can not even have to go to your mouse. You can just stay on your keyboard, do the autofill for your responses, and just burn through a report real quickly. And to manage them, it's real simple. You just come up here, manage responses. You can assign it to an F key, whatever you want to do. Delete the ones you don't need. It's real simple to use. Also, there's a little tab here for this particular responses panel here. So you can have multiple panels here and share them. This one is help. And this is nice if you click on help, whatever field you're in, it gives you a little bit of information about what you're supposed to fill in there. So if you're a new or if you have a trainee and they're not sure exactly what to fill out there or what information is supposed to go there, they can click on help and it'll give them some information there. And then finally, we have the format panel. The format panel is very similar to what you may have in a la mode ACI. They may call it something different, whatever your type of UAD helper is. That's what the format panel is. Now, unlike those programs, we decided not to have something pop up in your face every time that you go into a formatted field, whether it is regular formatted or UAD formatted, because that gets very annoying very quickly. We also allow you to type directly into the field. So we've been doing UAD for 11 or 12 years now. A lot of us know what the formatting is. We don't need help with it. So you can go ahead and type directly into any field without using any type of UAD format panel helper or whatever. Go ahead and type it in there. If you make a mistake in the formatting, when you tab out, it'll turn red. Otherwise, we let you do it on yourself. Now, if you do need that help, maybe you're a trainee, you need a little bit of assistance in filling out the proper UAD formatting, all you got to do is come over here to this panel, do attachment type, attach structure, number of stories 2. So let's say it's a townhome, description of style, let's call it townhome, hit apply, and there. Now it's going to automatically do the formatting for me. When you're not in a formatted field, it's going to give you a color key. So if you may have been wondering what these different colors meant, it'll tell you, you've got an inactive field, the active field is gray, and a specific formatted field is green. So now you know what all these mean. And then finally, a couple of things here. One of my favorite things is the shrinking text. A couple of different programs out there have this, but we added it. We really like it. So if I type into a field, the easiest way to see this is in the city field because it's a fairly small field. You can type in Charlotte. And you'll notice I could only fit like 2.5 Charlottes in there. And as I got to the third Charlotte, as I kept typing, it automatically started shrinking it. And if I exit that, if you didn't know, you'd be hard pressed to be able to tell that this had smaller text. So this will work to an extent. Eventually, as you keep typing, it would go out over the boundaries. I made a typo, who cares? It'll go out over the boundaries, but this will give you a little extra space if you have a really long city name in there. I've seen some ridiculously long city names before, so you'll have some space. This is in every single field, including the multi-line fields. Now, these fields have extended comments available to them. So as you keep typing, when you get to the end, it will say see additional comments, and it'll take the last sentence and dump it over to our extended comments addendum, and you can keep typing. And you don't have to stop down and do anything. It's just going to keep typing automatically, and you just keep going. But if you don't want to use the extended comment because you just have like 1 or 2 or 3 extra words you need to add in there because you don't want to use an extended comment if you don't have to, then this will, especially in a longer, a multi-line field with more space, you'll be able to fit a couple of extra words, 3, 4, 5 extra words in there without it having to trip over to the extended comments. And this is fully configurable in the settings. These panels here, these are movable, so I could grab these panels and pull them out and put them onto a different monitor if I want. I could stack them in a different monitor. If I want to put them back, I just come over here. We'll put them back where they are, so all this is fully configurable. You could even stack them all up on the right-hand side and tab them all out so that you could just switch between them. And the interface here in your editing window is also a tabbed interface, kind of like a web browser. So if I wanted to open up, let's say, the sketch, open up the listing comps here, they all show up as tabs up here at the top. And I can even click just like in a web browser and drag these tabs out and put them on a different monitor. So if I wanted to see my comps here and then put my other comps over on my other monitor and kind of stack them all up, resize them so that they're a little bit smaller and I can see them better, copy in between them, you have full reign to be able to do that. And if you wanted to put it back, you could just click and pop it back in, or you could have just closed it as well. Real simple. And the thing is if you ever, because invariably people do, you're going to mess something up. You're going to, be playing around with this, and then you're going to actually do something like accidentally do something like this and be like, oh my God, what did I just do? Well, all you got to do, and then you'll probably try to close it, and now it's gone. All you got to do is come to view, reset the default, say yes, and it puts everything back the way it was, factory default. And the last thing I want to show you guys down here is our services. What would you call this? Services bug, services, don't want to say bug, that means something different in software. Basically what this is it's like a little light. And right now it's green. That means all of our web services are currently online. If we're having a problem with our street maps or flood maps or something like that, or maybe our tech support is overloaded and busy, this may turn yellow, meaning degraded service. Or it may turn red, meaning that street maps, flood maps are down. If you see a red light down here, you just come down here and click. It'll tell you what the offending product is, and then you can click on it, and it will take you to this website, which is status.sfrep.com, and you'll be able to look and see what the problem was, see if there was a problem yesterday when you were having a problem, etc. This will keep you from having to call our tech support. You can see at a glance, this is, this down here is real time, and it will show you as soon as we have a problem. If we have a problem, then that'll turn red, and that way you're fully informed as to what's going on. And generally, we'll give you a resolution time as well if we know what the problem is. All right, guys. I think that's kind of what the core of I want to really cover here. Of course, we would go more in depth. If you decided to try out Appraise It Pro, we can sit down and one-on-one with your team, and we can do some training, answer any questions you might have. Invariably, people ask about sketching. We have our own sketch products. Sketch It is our kind of base sketch product that we have, but we also integrate with Apex, and you won't have to repurchase Apex. If you already have purchased Apex, then it will just work with Appraise It Pro. We also have a comp manager. I'll open that up real quick. We have a comp manager. This is your comp database. You don't have to maintain the comp database at all. We'll go into this more in depth if we were to, kind of sit down one-on-one with you. You don't have to maintain the comp database. It's automatically done in the background. So every time that you enter an address and any information into a report, that information is stored in the comp database. You can share that amongst multiple people in your office, and you can even export certain searches from that comp database, kind of like how you would with an MLS, and then send those to somebody else and they could import them into their software. So you can share it amongst multiple people who have Appraise It Pro. We also have an image manager here. This is a little outdated. We had this in Appraise It Classic, so we brought it into Appraise It Pro. It's for basically copying images from your camera or from your photos folder or whatever into Appraise It Pro. But one of the cool things about Appraise It Pro that I love, let me pull this out a little bit, because I don't have multiple monitors that I can show you right now. But what I can do is, you see right here, I have this little photo. This is just a regular old JPEG. It's just a stock image, but this could be a JPEG you got from your camera. If I come down here to sales comp photos 3x5, there we go. All I have to do is click and drag that over. You can drag and drop from any of your photo programs, or you can drag and drop from Windows itself and pop your photos in. You can also use our comp manager program, which if you're reusing photos, that makes that really easy to reuse photos from. Sorry, I think we're getting delivery right now. That's what that in the background is. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you guys. Remember, we are offering 6 months completely free. It's going to have everything that you need to do an appraisal. And it includes tech support and us kind of showing you the ropes, getting it installed for you, getting everything set up, getting your old Mismo XML files brought into Appraise It Pro, have them indexed. They'll be treated just like regular reports, so that you have access to all of your old stuff. And we do that 6 months for free, no strings attached, because we know that we're pretty confident you're going to like our software. It's very easy to learn. If you are coming from Alamotor ACI, I can generally teach you how to use it in about 30 minutes. So it's going to feel very familiar. The program, now of course, take everything I say with a grain of salt. I work for the company, but I'm telling you, the program is rock solid. I have had this thing running and using it with my computer turned on for over a week, never had any kind of error or problem. This thing is bulletproof. I'm telling you, it works really, really well. And being a small company, if we discover that there is some type of problem, then we can, get a fix out, turn it around real quickly. We're not like some giant cargo ship that takes 10 years to turn around. So if you guys have any questions, I want to direct you once again to that little chat bubble icon. If you are watching this after the fact on YouTube, you can feel free to email me in. And you guys too that are watching it live, if you come up with something later or you're just a little bit shy, you can email me directly, Matt, and that's M-A-T-T, at SFREP.com, or training@SFREP.com, and I will be happy to answer any questions you may have. Now, if you've already downloaded Appraise It Pro and you're starting to use it, of course, contact our tech support. They're going to be able to help you much quicker than me. But otherwise, feel free to fire off an email to me, Matt@SFREP.com, and I love to talk to you guys, love to answer questions. And if you're going to be in Las Vegas at the time of this recording, which is November 1st, will be next week. Would love to see you, and let me know that you were in this training session. I'd love to talk to you. We work from home, so any chance that I get to talk to another living, breathing human, I always love to do that. So working from home, sometimes you get a little squirrely because you don't see people for days on end, except for my girlfriend, and she gets a little annoyed. So if you don't have any questions, I want to thank all of you so much for taking time out of your Monday morning to get some coffee and to sit down and kind of see Appraise It Pro. Once again, Matt@SFREP.com. If you have any questions, I'd love to talk to you. And we are offering 6 months, no strings attached. All you got to do is contact us at 800, and you know what? I'll even type it in here for you. Here, we'll do it right here. 800-523-0872. That is our toll-free sales line. They'd love to talk to you and get you set up, answer any questions you might have. 800-523-0872, sales@SFREP.com, or me, Matt@SFREP.com. Thank you so much, and I hope all of you have a great week coming up. Hopefully everyone had a awesome Halloween last night, and hopefully we're not all a little too hungover this morning. And I hope you guys have a great week coming up, and hope to see some of you in Las Vegas next week. Thanks a lot, and have a wonderful week.